All right, in this episode, it'll be part 2 for the 5th gear grind. I'm gonna actually start some disassembly to remove the transmission. We're gonna check out those synchronization gears. That should pretty well be the fix, but we'll get to that point. This is, of course, a continuation from part 1, where we changed the oil in the transmission, which, for whatever reason, seemed to help on day 1, but day 2, it was back to its old ways. So I hate doing stuff like this because it's, running car, but we do have to get this addressed. So here we go. All right, plan of attack at this point, basically we're gonna try and drop the rear cradle. So of course we'll get the tires, the arms, the shock. We'll kind of get all this removed. That'll leave us with the cradle, all the cables and whatnot. We should be able to leave the fuel system in place. I will have to remove the center console to get to the shifter linkage. But that's kind of the plan of attack. Disconnect the oil cooling lines, differential cooling lines. I should have enough clearance to simply undo the bell housing from the rear there to get this pulled out. So today I'm gonna disconnect all the cables, all the wiring to the tranny, the harnesses and whatnot. We're gonna disconnect the brakes, the calipers. They're just in there for place holding, just so they're not dangling out of the way. We'll disconnect those. A-arms are just loose, so those will get disconnected. And then once we get the cooling lines, the transmission cooling lines, once we get those disconnected, the arms, the calipers, I think we'll then get ready to drop out the cradle. Hopefully I can make this work by myself. Move the back, slide back.
So the jack back?
Slide back. Okay. Stop.
Okay.
Well, that was interesting. I didn't know that the transaxle fluid would come out the axle side. So we got a little bit of a spill. Not a big deal, I'll get it cleaned up. But we got the diff off. So then that leaves the tranny. All right, so we are going to drop the transmission, or I should say drop. We're gonna pull out the transmission. That's what's basically left here. I've got just a ratchet strap to kind of hold it in place with some jack stands on the torque tube. I've got all the hardware removed except for 4 bolts and then the shift linkage. So we'll get that disconnected and bring the tranny out.
Should be nothing now holding this transmission.
All right, we got
together.
that like secondary cooling line, now the shift linkage. All right, we ready here?
All right, ready?
Here we go.
All right. Okay, what's the weight feel? Clamp's a little strong.
All right. I don't know if you can see this very well. All right, so here we are on the inside. I assumed that this is the shift rod. This linkage was detachable. I'm not seeing anything at this point where it is. So we'll take this out completely and we'll take a look. And then there's a outside lower cooling line, comes up into this bell housing. That is attached to the transmission. So that does need to be disconnected and removed. That was hanging us up.
You got two options. So you can get the roll pin right here. So these you just hammer out. It's a piece of steel with an opening in it, and as you hammer it in, it closes itself, so it like applies tension.
Yeah.
You punch it out, or it looks like there's another roll pin right there. You do the same thing.
Okay.
You just punch the rest of it out, pull it off the shaft there, or you can pull it off the shaft of the knuckle.
And the shift linkage is keyed. So that bolt I was talking about runs through this. And there's a slot. Let me show you the slot for that bolt. Yeah, right there. That bolt is slotted, so this is keyed. So you want to know what a car guy's garage looks like? And of course, they're all into Camaros. They race and drag all the time, so lots of parts, lots of accessories here.
There's some things lacking.
And so that gear, that'll be 6.
This, I think, should be reversed.
This will be reversed.
That will be reversed.
Because your 5th and 6th is right here. Because this is your dog leg that controls which gear is on it.
Cool.
So, when you're looking at the Syncro, these teeth, see how they're triangulated?
Yeah.
Usually when a Syncro goes bad, the teeth will either be missing or this portion right here will be more flat. So when you're trying to go into gear, this helps line it up for your gear. But when it's flat, you know, you're running into...
So you want the triangle.
You want the triangle, yeah.
So this one looks okay?
So this one looks to be okay, and this one is your 6th gear Syncro. Yeah.
All right, so this is 5th gear coming out, correct?
Yep, this is 5th gear coming out. Okay, the sprag looks good. Nice sharp points.
See if I can get a tight shot up in there.
So you can
Those
see,
do have points.
yeah,
All right, let's look at the gear, 5th gear.
the Syncro, the slider ring. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Right there, yep. All the way around is like bird. And if you drag your finger, you can catch it right there.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
So that's a no bueno.
No
right?
bueno, no go-go. So we need another slider ring.
That's what it's called, a slider ring.
I think it's the Syncro slider ring. Drag is going inside that slider ring, and it's not. So you're just free spinning at that point. So
Right.
that's your first click, and what you really need is to get the second click when this sprag would line up,
To the other one.
and
Okay.
then that slider ring would go all the way down to the gear. And believe it or not, all the power is held just on those teeth.
For being so small.
For being so small, but you think of the leverage from the center point out, as well as the area that all those little teeth are grabbing, and that's what holds it.
Especially at those speeds. I mean, how fast is that turning?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You're talking thousands of revolutions a minute.
Whatever the revolution of your engine is. Because this is your idler gear. This is directly relationed to your input shaft.
Hang on. What is it that we're doing here?
So what we're doing is we're heating up the gear. And what will happen is the gear will expand, and then it should be able to go on. We won't have to press it so hard. You get that temp going?
Are you aiming for a particular temperature?
215.
170.
He's gonna take it.
That's going to be a hot potato.
Yeah. And support the gloves.
And will that just drop right on?
Should.
Should, in theory.
Alright. Just like that.
Just like that.
Cool. I don't know, between that and the zip tie trick, dude, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it goes on super easy. Good way to do your ball joints.
Does get hot though.
So what gear is this one?
So this is your reverse. Where's my gloves? This is still kind of hot right now, but
And this is pressed on, or getting it pressed to be pressed on.
yeah. So we don't have a press ourselves. So
Right.
I mean, getting this down or getting a socket or a long tube is going to be a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off.
And you
We're
want to
gonna heat it
achieve
up.
at 240.
Between 220 and 240, and this last one was at 225, and it just slid right on. So we're going to attempt to do that with this guy.
It doesn't take much. I mean, that one took, what, a minute?
Yeah.
Sounds like propane.
Yep. That'll look perfect.
And you realize it's like 105 outside right now.
Yeah, so we're already halfway there.
Shoot the flame. Good melting. Put more in.
Drops right in.
Yep.
That's like a life hack.
Yeah. Press. We don't need no stinking press.
Now you realize there's probably going to be some haters.
That's okay. It's all right. But I didn't damage it. I didn't hit it. I didn't mar it. I didn't.
So Walter, if I was to ask you, how long you been tinkering on cars?
Since 10 years old.
Long time?
Yes, my mother had me do a rebuild on her Volkswagen when I was 10 years old. She didn't have the money to pay a shop to do it, so she bought the points and points, condensers, and plugs from AutoZone. And she also bought a How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive.
And she said, here you go.
And she sat out there and she read the chapter as I did the work. And once it worked, that gave me the confidence to do
That's cool.
anything and everything.
That's a good mom. Was that a bus or a beetle or a bug? What was that?
That bug right there.
Oh, that's the actual bug?
That's the actual bug. It will never leave. I will die and Stefan will have to get rid of it.
Or read the chapter and fix it myself.
I think the book is still inside of it.
And I'm assuming when you were done, Ran good?
It ran. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was back in 1977, and it was on the road until '98.
Wow, that's cool.
Neutral. Third.
Yeah.
Fourth.
Yep.
Neutral.
Forward. No, that's sixth.
Yep. Fifth.
That's fifth. Yep, that's fifth. Because that's multiplying.
Yep. Sixth.
Yep.
All right, Stefan, Walter, you guys are awesome. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate all your efforts. This has been a huge learning curve.
I mean, we were thinking that when we tore it apart, because you were having a hard time going in the fifth gear, that it was the Syncro. But it turned out to be the selector sleeve, and just seeing that one side knurled over. So we cleaned it up, deburred it, flipped around, used it in reverse, put a new gasket set in it, and everything's back together, and it runs through all the gears, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. All right, we are under the car, so we got the transmission in. Just wanted to show you a couple things here before I proceed. So there is a cooling line, bell housing, of course, transmission. There's a cooling line that runs up to the radiator. This does need to be removed, and to access the connection, you have to, have these separated. So before this came together, we had to connect this line. We are supporting the transmission with a jack stand. Just because the sheer weight of everything, I don't want it to have any kind of stress on the torque tube. So the next thing we're going to do is the differential. There we go. Sweet! All right, so we got the differential in. Went pretty well. Got everything connected to it. Got the two cooling lines, got that connected in. So I'll do the cradle next, get that up installed. So I got the cradle just seated in. Everything's just a dry fit still. Got to run the washers and nuts for the 4 bolts, and then the 4 nuts that hold the kind of an engine mount, so to speak, for the differential. Now that the cradle is in, we're going to install the axle, the shocks, of course the upper A-arm, kind of get that all kind of dry fitted in. Yesterday I did the driver's side, had a little bit of a minor problem on the axle. Basically the axle nut had a burr on the thread, so I had to get a new nut. But I had to use that nut to pull the axle through the spline. It was pretty tight, but I was able to get that situated. All right, so let's give this a go. All right, so we're gonna take this for its first drive after pulling the transmission and fixing that 5th gear grind. Got everything connected back together, obviously. So let's go around the neighborhood nice and easy. Love how that sounds. Run this nice and easy because I know I need to add more transmission fluid because all that was basically emptied out. So the pump's got to cycle and circulate that fluid through the radiator and lines. So I'm just going to run it through all the gears nice and easy, get the transmission up to temperature, and then I'll go back to the garage and top it off with fluids. We got the fluids topped off, transmission and diff, and we'll go up for our road test here. Yes. Huge shout out to Stefan and Walter. You guys are awesome. Thanks for helping with that 5th gear grind. Check out the video of the build, the ride-alongs. Check out the channel for more.